A skeleton purse.
Oh, what is it, like Balenci? Rick?
It's not. It's some next brand
Okay.
called Unconventional. It uses a real spine. Now, where do they get the bodies though? They say they get the bodies from like donors that send their bodies or sign it up for science.
Yeah.
You know how you go to those science centers.
Yeah, and you see the big
the whole
balls.
bodies. It's still weird.
Poisoning you. So you know those drumstick ice cream
Interesting.
cones? So people are finding that the ice cream is not real ice cream. And to prove this, they buy these ice cream cones and then they leave it outside of the freezer for like 24 hours. And after 24 hours, they try to see if it melts or not. Like, look at this video. They left it out for 24 hours and it's not melted. It looks like mashed potatoes, but it's not like liquid ice cream melted. So they left it out in room temperature for 24 hours and shockingly it didn't melt, and that's what we're eating. So if you look at the box drumsticks, like the packaging, right, nowhere on the packaging does it say that it's ice cream, because legally by the USDA they cannot say it's ice cream unless in the product they have like 10% milk fat. Drumsticks do not have that, so legally they cannot say it's ice cream, right? And look at the box. On the box it's so small where they put it, it only says 4 frozen dairy dessert cones, and they only put it super small at the bottom of the box. So since it says frozen dessert cones, that usually means it's made with like oils. There's like some milk fat, right? But there's not enough to call it ice cream, and that's why drumsticks don't melt.
Have you ever heard
I've never noticed that before, bro. Just pointed something out to me. If you look at the bottom, like I said, the bottom right hand corner, it doesn't say ice cream, it says fudge cones. Now I remember I had like an ice cream cones like a couple weeks ago and it tasted so freaking disgusting. I just threw it away. I'm like, that's not no damn ice cream. I experienced that firsthand.
the conspiracy theory about Mrs. Puff? There's a theory that Mrs. Puff may have a very dark past. In the season 2 episode of SpongeBob titled Lighthouse Louie, it was revealed that before Mrs. Puff came to Bikini Bottom, she lived in a place called New Kelp City, and she may have been responsible for a terrible accident that happened there. Because in that episode, there was a scene where SpongeBob was going through a whole bunch of jumps, and he ran across this newspaper article. The article is from the New Kelp Post and reads, "Range boat teacher makes getaway." And then at the bottom says, "Distracts authorities with balloon animals." It clearly shows a picture of Mrs. Puff. But here's when things get a little spooky. It might be a clear indication that Mrs. Puff is not who she says she is. Because if you take it back to the season 2 episode, No Free Ride, there was a scene where she says, "I have to move to a new city, start a new boating school with a new name." Then she says, "No, not again." Do you remember this part about distracting authorities with balloon animals? Rewind it back to this scene with the balloon animal. I don't know about y'all. I think Mrs. Puff got some explaining to do.
You'd like to learn something
knew.
new today. Great, let me tell you these things that you definitely needed to know. Sony spent over $1 million in 2005 to drop 250,000 bouncy balls off of one of the steepest streets in San Francisco, which broke a bunch of windows and destroyed cars in the process. And who knew just 20 years later you could use AI to do that? Yippee! Over 99% of Warren Buffett's net worth was accumulated after he was 65 years old. Dang, that retirement 401k really paid off, didn't it? I'll be here every day. There was a 15-year-old in India who decided to take his spade and try to dig a pond to quench the thirst of the people and the cattle that were in his village. While his fellow villagers laughed at him, he identified one spot in the forest where he decided he was just going to keep on digging. He dug for 27 years, and the result was a 1-acre, 15 feet deep pond. Talk about consistency. Coming back every day. And we complain about like going to the gym every day.
Damn, did y'all hear about laundry detergent being banned in New York? Some brands was banned in New York because of the high level of dioxane, which is a cancer-causing chemical. It is in a category called forever chemicals. And it's called forever chemicals because they do not break down over time and permanently remain in the air, soil, water, and in the body. New York wanted to reduce the amount of forever chemicals that's in the water supply. So they changed the legal amount of how much to be put in it. And the brands Tide, Armor Hammer, and Game were shown to exceed that limit. Spokesperson for Tide and Game says that they changed their products to be in compliance with the New York rule and claims that the dioxane is coming from the plastic or the bottom. From brands to the highest to lowest level, 1 is Armor Hammer, 2 is Tide, and 3 is Game. But again, they've been said that changes was made by the manufacturers. So technically they ain't been banned yet. But a study being done in 2022 on these products is what caused all this. Because these harsh ingredients could pose a risk to human and environmental health. And brands that claim to be truly clean as Dirty Labs, Drops, and more. An original statement of Tide Original, Game Original Plus, and Roma Boats were also banned, but reformulated their products to a lower concentration limit. Damn, what's your thoughts on this?
Just going into the game,
Take your notes.
any special thing you carried into the game on Sunday that you had tucked away somewhere?
I did. I always, I've learned a lot from my wife over the years. She's so about the power of intention, and believing things that are really going to happen. And she always makes a little altar for me at the game because she just wills it so much. And so she put together a little altar for me that I could bring with pictures of my kids. And I have these little special stones and healing stones and protection stones. And she has me wear a necklace and take these drops she makes. And I say all these mantras. And I stopped questioning her a long time ago. I did. I just shut up and listened. And at first I was like, this is kind of crazy. And then about 4 years ago, we were playing the Seahawks, and she said, you better listen to me. This is your year, but this is all the things you're going to have to do to win. And I did all those things, and by God, it worked. It was pretty good. And then in 2015, it was about early January, and she said, how much I love you. And I said, yeah. And she said, I just want to let you know this is not going to be your year. And of course we lost. I said, what does 16 look like? And she said, 16's going to be your year. So it was early January this year, and I said, babe, I'm asking, do we have a chance? And she said, yeah, but you're going to have to do a lot of work, and you're really going to have to listen to me. So, man, I listened to her. And right after the game, she said, see, I did a lot of work. You do your work, I do mine. She said, you're lucky you married a witch. I'm just a good witch.
This woman called a secret society.
What the hell? He said he had, when he was describing altered pictures, all those pictures, I guess his wife told him to bring. I don't know if she was doing like a little prayer ceremony or something, just hoping the good luck, but. Because there's sometimes you got to think, man, the way Tom Brady was winning in the NFL, it was something. But some of those games were just like unbelievable. Especially that Super Bowl, man, against the Falcons, that 28-3 comeback. There had to be some type of mojo involved, man.
Why are you doing a ritual in the middle of a cornfield?
Check this
I was just
out.
walking in the cornfields, minding my own business. Typical Friday night in Indiana.
Okay.
Thought I was all by myself.
But she's not.
I was not. I'm talking quietly because I'm a little frightened.
Here they are.
This is happening.
That's an effigy of a demon. She's going to get a little closer. Watch this.
Could I get closer? They're not even acknowledging my presence. And I don't really have any friends. I kind of wanted to do something fun tonight because it is a Friday, so I'm just gonna see.
Kind of strange to walk around a cornfield on a Friday night by yourself. Check this out.
It's so weird. There's so many weird things happening
They're like
out
in a
here all the
trance.
time. You really never know. What?
That's a demon effigy.
What? Here, I'll show you guys a better angle. Pretty nice.
Stay weird, y'all. Some
Well,
strange
I
things
guess
going
I'm
on.
just gonna hang out here for a little bit with my new friends and
Stay weird.
So this
I'm
is
out.
what our water is going to look like very soon. Hence the bill they just passed to be able to pass through sewage and other yuckiness through our water streams, right? Like the water that you wash your face with, that you take a bath with, that you drink. Now a lot of people say, well, I don't drink tap water, so I don't really care. But you take showers, you wash your face, you do other stuff with water. I literally stopped drinking plastic bottles of water. I switched over. I bought a Brita, the filter. I bought a Brita. You know what I'm saying? I'm saving money on water. Don't have to buy bottled water, just my own. You know what I'm saying? And now you're telling me I gotta go back to drinking the plastic water because obviously it's gonna be healthier for you than having to drink this or this. Disgusting. Like who wants to? I just don't get what they're doing. I thought RFK said he wanted us to be healthy again, make America healthy again. Well, it doesn't start with passing poo particles and all type of other sewage particles through our main water supplies. Make it make sense, dude. Like, what are we doing? How is this making America great?
Have you heard about Mole World Dreams? Why do I ask? Because people are coming together and telling their story about how they're all having the same dreams and waking up in the same places.
Wow.
It's like going to sleep and having a dream, and then waking up and saying to yourself, that felt so real. Everyone online is talking about this place called Mall World. Thousands upon thousands of people have claimed to have visited the same place while dreaming. What if this place, hear me out, is not a dream, but just turns out to be a part of a simulation? People have described that in the videos that the escalators in the mall led to nowhere, always with no, and also elevators with floors that did not match what they said. People have also claimed to see a playground in their dreams, and also claimed to hear children laughing, but none can be seen. So my question to you is, have you ever experienced this dream of a mall world? Do you think that maybe this is a place where we go to reset our minds, to get our thoughts? Or is it just where we actually live? And when we wake up, we're in the simulation. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. And as always, I'd love to hear from you.
There is a...
Did any of the seekers experience the mall world dream? I've never have. That just sounds like one mass, I guess, place where everybody with all the dreamers come together, man. That's interesting. People dreaming the same dream. What's going on?
About a guy who used to work in the Navy in the 70s. They placed an acoustic sensor device all throughout the ocean floor in the certain areas. This was to map the ocean floor, detect submarines, and find other anomalies and stuff. It says one of the contacts while in the Navy who worked on the ASW team who was responsible for monitoring the sensors and everything. They would discuss underwater submersible objects that detected that would travel at thousands of miles per hour underwater.
What are you talking about?
He said they also have detected various structures underwater that are active and that they stay cleared up. And so those might be like volcanoes or whatever,
Okay, yeah.
but they're detecting actual anomalies underwater.
Recently?
This is a report from a guy that worked in the Navy in the 1970s.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was in the 70s? They were tracking this stuff?
When they placed the sensor devices in, on the ocean floor.
That is so cool.
So,
like, you know how you get stoked about space?
Yeah.
I get stoked about the ocean.
Those are probably like alien stuff, though.
Yes!
Oh.
They're meeting.
Dude, the ocean freaks me out way more than space.
What is going on with Jaden Smith? This man is not normal. This is not normal. Do y'all see this man's face? That's not from a camera flash. I don't know if this man got red dye, red makeup. I don't know what the hell that red shit on his face is. It look like it's on his hands too. Y'all, look at this video. Look at his face. What the hell is that? I just be trying to understand where did it all go wrong for this man. You had every opportunity to become one of the best actors ever. After the Karate Kid, I'm thinking this man finna have the best fucking acting career ever. But nah, this man took a whole different route. I mean, it is his life. I'm just trying to understand, fool. Like, why does a lot of Hollywood rich kids turn out to be weird? Nobody else but me noticed that. Like, what is he throwing up? What is these hand signs, fool? Last time I checked, fool, you grew up in a 7-bedroom, 6-bathroom house. So I'm not understanding. I need y'all thoughts down below in the comments. What do y'all think is going on, fool?
This will probably become the most controversial movie of the year. A Jesus Christ horror movie is about to drop, and the plot is absolutely wild. It's called The Carpenter's Son, and in the teaser trailer we see it's going to star Nicolas Cage of all people to play Joseph. We got Noah Jupe starring as Jesus and FKA Twigs as Mary. But instead of following his life and ministry like most Jesus movies, this one is going to be totally different. In fact, they use the phrase, a dark reimagining of Jesus. Now, the plot will revolve around him and his family hiding out in Roman Egypt while he is still a child, when one day he starts to discover his inherent powers. I mean, it's sounding like a freaking superhero movie so far. And according to the film's synopsis, quote, as he exercises his own power, the boy and his family become the target of horrors, natural and divine, which also leads Jesus to rebel against his guardian, Joseph. I'm not gonna lie,
Nick Cage, cooked. Now, of course, this has led to a lot of backlash online with Christians calling it blasphemous and offensive, while others are saying that this biblical horror is exciting and a fresh take on the genre. Now, it's set to release later this year, but what do you guys think? Is this too far to make a horror movie about Jesus, or fair game?
Apparently, all of the
No, Hollywood don't care.
is coming out in 2025, whether they like it or not. What if I told you your DNA didn't start on Earth, and it may have came straight from outer space? Scientists just found proof of human DNA in a meteor that's over 2 billion years old. You heard what I just said? Human DNA in something that came from space. Now ask yourself, where the hell did we really come from? And before you think I'm going too far, let me explain. Scientists were studying this meteorite and found DNA molecules that exist inside of me and you. We're talking about adenine, guanine, cytosine, all of the ingredients that make life possible. And think about it. What if Earth wasn't the start of life? What if Earth was just a landing spot? Like, what if something out there threw a seed and that seed turned into us? What if we might actually be the aliens that we've been searching for? 2 billion years ago, this rock fell from the sky. Fast forward to now, we're talking, breathing, creating technology, making TikToks, all because of what? A space rock? Our DNA might literally be cosmic. Like we might have the universe inside of us. But peep this crazy shit. Scientists are saying that this could mean that life exists all over the galaxy because our DNA showed up in space. So what else is out there? So think, what else is out there that looks like us? What if other civilizations already evolved from the same building blocks, same codes, just a different planet? Drop an alien emoji if you think we came from a star. And if this blew your mind, follow for more. Because this rabbit hole is way deeper than you think. I'm out.
Do what he said, man, Seekers. If y'all think, man, we got freaking cousins or something, man, out in the stars, drop an alien emoji. I want to see him.
A skeleton purse with real spines.
Oh, what is it, like Balenci? Rick?
It's not. It's some next brand called Unconventional. It uses a real spine from a... Now, where do they get the bodies, though? They say they get the bodies from, like, donors that send their bodies or sign it up for science.
Yeah.
You know how you go to those science centers?
Yeah, you see the big
the whole bodies. It's still weird, though. Like, why... And why handbags?
Yeah. Are they trying to portray it as luxury? Like, is it very expensive?
Yeah.
Oh, that's even
it
worse.
has to be, too.
That's even worse because that makes people want to buy it.
And you know who's buying that?
Yeah,
they're weirdos.
Yeah, no, the rich man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Usually,
why is it always about people? That's what's weird.
Y'all,
weird.
I tell you, this generation is cooked, y'all. People who do not have discernment, cooked. People with discernment, cooked. Have y'all seen this new AI from OpenAI called Sora 2? When I tell y'all that we've officially crossed the line from what's reality and what's a simulation, y'all, I am not exaggerating. This thing doesn't just generate videos, it generates reality. I'm talking about facial expressions, movement, voices, sound. They are all made by AI. And somebody out there already used it to make Jake Paul clips where you think it's so legit that it looked like he filmed it himself, y'all.
Alright, I'm gonna show you how to do the perfect everyday glam. Step, blush, just grab a ton of it, swirl it around, boom, right on there. If your face doesn't look like you just ran a marathon in the desert, you're not doing it right. Yep, I'm gonna show you how I get these girls looking fresh and yes, very good with the new sparkly pink scent. Here's the curl cream I swear by. I take about that much, melt it in my hands, and then just work it through while the hair's still damp. Try to rate my tank. This is hands down the grossest thing I've ever done. I'm up to my shoulders. It's warm. It smells terrible. And there's toilet paper doing laps around me. The tank right now. Up to my shoulders. This is disgusting, but it's gonna be worth it.
Oh, nah.
Are you real? Do I exist? Does anybody know? Does anyone have an answer? Or has this all just been sorted to? I'm gonna ask the questions that matter. Are we AI? Because I don't know. I can't tell the difference and I'm losing my mind. Dude, I just watched the video of Jake Paul applying makeup like a makeup artist. Brother, we're not just cooked. We're marinated, sauteed, deep fried, and put in a fat guy's Tupperware for a meal prep he's not gonna stick to.
What's crazy is that Pisces is the age of illusion, and now that we are leaving the age of illusion, it's like all of them are coming to the surface to see where our perception really is, right? And I feel like there's a lot of people that are going to lose it, just like him.
Now I'm watching videos of ex-QC verbally abusing senior citizens in a retirement home, and I don't know what's real and what's fake. Oh, Facebook moms are gonna lose it. I'm losing it.
The ship is here, y'all. So what if this ship has to do with altering our perception to leave this illusion, this supportive illusion that we've always been in? Wouldn't that be something? Because a lot of movies tell us that, y'all, but let me know what you guys think about this Sora too, man. Sora, whatever you want to call it. But the ship is here. Let's continue to get it.
Born on the literal perfect day. Back in 2019, a baby girl was born on July 11th, making the date 7/11. Well, the baby was also born at 7:11 p.m., and the baby also weighed 7 pounds and 11 ounces. From this, the convenience store 7-Eleven saw this and gave the baby $7,111, making this baby the most 7-Eleven baby in history. Next, in 2022, this baby girl was born at one of the craziest times possible because she was born on February 22nd, 2022, which is 2/22/2022. But she was also born at 2:22 a.m. and she weighed 7 pounds and 10 ounces, which makes her a total 122 total ounces. And I can't forget that she was born in room number 2 of the hospital. This is absolutely wild.
We have some crazy things going on in the world right now. A bride was late to her own wedding after an officer pulled her over for going 105 in a 45. A bus driver with over 30 years on the job lost his $84,000 pension after he was caught stealing $7. Thanks to appearances in music videos and commercials, technically Taylor Swift's cat Olivia has a higher net worth than her boyfriend Travis Kelce. An Air India crew member downgraded a passenger from first class and then used that seat to sleep. A 19-year-old man was sent to prison for 8 months after making a bomb threat to a cruise that his girlfriend was on because he admitted he was annoyed that he had to take care of her pets. Meteorologists could not use damage to determine the strength of a recent tornado that went through Michigan because the Amish communities that this tornado mostly affected repaired their homes too quickly. After a man saved for 10 years to buy his dream Ferrari, it went up in flames less than an hour after it was delivered.
This is a bittersweet.
Nah, just imagine that, man. You saving up, you stocking up. Everything, every freaking penny, dime, nickel, man, to get that Ferrari in working class, and for it to end up in flames after you get it. I'm like, man, the universe hates me. I guess that was a sign, man.
Sweet case. On February 1986, 29-year-old Detective Stephanie Lazarus broke into her ex-boyfriend's house and murdered his wife Sherry Rasmussen in a fit of rage and jealousy. Stephanie successfully got away with murder for 23 years due to connections with the Los Angeles Police Department. Despite there being evidence against her, she was barely questioned. The crime was initially deemed to be a robbery gone wrong, but Sherry's family was convinced that Stephanie was involved since she was jealous that Sherry and John were happily married. When John returned home from work that evening, Sherry was found shot multiple times in the chest. Reports show that Stephanie had threatened Sherry at her workplace, stating, "If I can't have John, then nobody else will." In the meantime, Stephanie went on to start her own private investigation firm, and the case went cold. But 23 years later, on February 2009, a cold case detective squad decided to reinvestigate the case, and that's when they discovered that DNA was obtained from a bite mark on Sherry's body. And of course, that bite mark was a perfect match to Stephanie Lazarus. On March 8, 2012, Stephanie was convicted and sentenced to 27 years to life in prison and will be eligible for parole in 2039.
2025 just got even crazier, part 4. Firstly, in Poland, 240 mines were accidentally sent to an IKEA, and apparently the mishap only came to light when the IKEA store called the military to ask when they were going to pick up these mines from their IKEA warehouse. From this, an army general was fired for losing these mines. Next, we all know about this TikTok ban that is happening. Well, it's kind of backfiring, because thousands and thousands of TikTok users are switching to the Chinese app RedNote, and from this, Duolingo has seen a 216% spike in users in the US learning Mandarin. Finally, stealing has got so bad in some areas, some stores are starting to literally lock up everything, like regular items like chips. So now, you literally have to get an employee just to get a chip bag.
That's so sad, man. But I still remember that channel. Remember when people were like licking the ice cream?
These maps are going to change the way you see the world. This is how much income you're gonna need to join the top 1% in every US state. California makes it easy. It's just 1 million solid. Yeah, easy. So it looks like the highest is actually in Connecticut with 1.2 million. That's fascinating, actually. The lowest is in West Virginia. You only need $420,000 a year to be in the top 1%. Yeah, I know I say only, it's a lot of money, but also relatively, it's cool. But yeah, we're all doomed, so it doesn't matter. This is just a map of the Midwest. Yeah, it's definitely in the West and in the middle because it's the Midwest. This was the first transcontinental railroad that was completed in 1869. You now could cross the country within a week instead of multiple months. That was dangerous. Interesting that there was an Oregon Trail and a California Trail. So this map shows that the entire area of Manhattan is smaller than the Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. This map divides the world into 4 equal quadrants and shows that the Northeast has almost 3 out of 4 people on Earth. It says 13% in the Northwest, but only 5% of that is in the United States, which is the same as the 5% in the Southwest. 86% of all humans live in the top side of this quadrant.
Let's see if you have trypophobia. I'm going to show you 5 photos. If you feel too uncomfortable to make it to the 5th photo, then you could have trypophobia. So let's go. Number 1. And how about this?
I'm cool.
Feeling uncomfortable yet? Nearly there. Last one. So let me know whether or not you have trypophobia in the comments down below.
I passed that with flying colors, man.
He performed plastic surgery on himself after murdering his teacher. In 2006, 22-year-old British teacher Lindsay Hawker moved to Tokyo to teach English at Chiba University. A year later, 28-year-old student Tetsuya Ichihashi asked Lindsay if he could receive private lessons from her. Lindsay agreed, and they met at a coffee shop a few days later for their first session. At the end of the session, Tetsuya told Lindsay he forgot his money at home and asked her to go back to his place to pick it up and pay her. So that's exactly what they did, and unfortunately, Lindsay never made it out of Tetsuya's apartment. Lindsay was reported missing the next day, so police went to Tetsuya's apartment and saw him escape by foot. When police entered Tetsuya's balcony, they found Lindsay's deceased body in a bath full of sand. Tetsuya then went into hiding for 2 years and a half, and he went to extreme measures to avoid authorities, such as physically changing his appearance himself. This included cutting off the moles from his face with a knife, trimming his lips to make them thinner, and reshaping his nose. All these changes allowed Tetsuya to be undetected for years, but his attempt to alter his appearance even more led to his arrest when a cosmetic doctor became suspicious about his scars and reported him to police. At Tetsuya's trial, he confessed to everything and was sentenced to life in prison.
This is the scary story about the park. There was a girl named Anna who was walking around a park one day when she saw a man carrying a woman, and he also had a kid right next to him. Anna thought it was odd that a man was carrying a full-grown woman around the park, so she went up to him and asked if everything was okay. The man said that it was his wife, and that she was sick and tired, but she was fine. Anna then said, "I hope she feels better," and then walked away. Anna then sat down on a bench nearby, and a couple minutes later, the man's child came running over to her and said, "Mommy's dead. Daddy killed Mommy. He's been carrying her dead body around the park all day." Anna sat there in shock as the man came over and got his kid, with his dead wife still slung over his shoulders.
Okay, that's weird. Call the cops then, man. The kid letting you
And the
know.
bodies of 9-year-old Peyton Decker, 8-year-old Evelyn Decker, and 5-year-old Olivia Decker were found deceased near Washington campground after they were reported missing by their mom. The girls left home for a planned visitation with their father on May 30th. Their bodies were found on June 2nd. Their cause of death has been ruled a suffocation. The manner of death has been ruled a homicide. Their father, 32-year-old Travis Decker, is a primary suspect, and he is currently on the run as we speak. On Friday, May 30th, the girl's mother called for help around 9:45 p.m. She said her girls were at their planned visit with their father, but he failed to return the girls on time, and she got worried and she needed help. The case is ongoing. There's a manhunt currently out for Travis Decker, the father. I'm not a lawyer. No one has been arrested yet. All this information is information that I found on the internet, and if I get anything wrong, please comment in the comments and we can figure it out together. Also, please keep in mind, please, this is a real case. People are mourning the deaths of these poor girls and they're hurt, so if you don't have anything nice to say, do not say anything at all. We know from the mother.
Breaking news, when Brian Kohberger was arrested, he asked one of the arresting officers if he wanted to go get coffee at another time. In these documents, Ann Taylor is trying to prove that Brian Kohberger does not have the ability to understand the magnitude of what he did. As an example of that, she states the following. She said, by way of example, when he was arrested at home with a full SWAT team, doors broken, and parents were zip-tied, he made small talk with the detective in the back of the police car on the ride to the police station. He asked the officer about his education and suggested that they get coffee at a later date. She said he did not perceive the profound seriousness of what was going on and he did not have perception of what was happening. She said they now have experts to analyze his issues. In addition, here is an up-close image of the drawing that Dylan provided of the mask she saw Brian Kohberger wearing the night she ran into him in the home. Furthermore, the April 9th hearing has been changed. You will no longer be able to locate...
This is the most terrifying space photo ever. This is a real photo of astronaut Bruce McCandless. He is floating around 100 meters away from the space shuttle, and he's not wearing any tether connection or harness, meaning he could easily float away into the abyss of space. But why did he do such a dangerous thing? Well, in 1984, he was testing a space jetpack. So he stepped out of the Challenger space shuttle and using the jetpack flew away from the shuttle, flying alone into the dark abyss of space. Bruce was later asked about his experience. He said, "The thing that disturbed me most was as I floated away from the shuttle, I felt extremely cold." He also said the silence of being alone was very scary. In this photo, he literally is the loneliest person in the universe.
That's different, man. Space jetpack, like I said, one more mistake, you floating out in space. The deep, dark abyss of space for the rest of your life. You have to be a brave person, man, to take on that job. I don't know if I can know. I know I can do that. That ain't me.
It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry. God.
Okay, so that's just a puppet, but you know it's not? Meet the Tibetan fox. The fox nature designed strictly for memory. The Lord makes no mistakes, but sometimes he uses his left hand. That's how you get a fox straight out of Courage the Cowardly Dog. We're not entirely sure why it looks like amateur taxidermy, but some say it's a character development that comes with living on the very roof of the world. Apparently that's the peak physique, when your address is up to 5,000 meters or 16,000 feet up in the air. The highest point in the US, not in Alaska, is just under 15,000. The result is an AI-generated pika predator. Pika basically being the popcorn chicken of rabbits. And the main thing on this Temu Fox's grocery list. Sometimes this uncanny valley Volpes goes on a two-man with bears, where the bears dig the prey up and the funny-in-the-face fox runs them down. All while having the expression of immigrant parents to a firstborn, terminally disappointed and remarkably unimpressed. I still love you, Mom. Except when they're about to murk a marmot. That's enough to make him hit the Heisman. And despite the free-handed by Faith Fox proving that 5-year-old me can draw, they actually look pretty normal as pups. And the way you see them might change when you see how little they are next to us. Because when you live in God's snowed-in Tibetan attic with the windows open, it's best to be small. In fact, the best theory is that protection from the constant wind is why they look like that. Something about preserving moisture in the eyes. But it also means you can get side-eyed looking dead in this fur emoji's face, the more you know.
I don't know if I can visit Mexico.
Yeah.
Why?
Bro, they have the scariest urban legends.
For real?
Yeah, they got La La Chuza, which is a shape-shifting witch that looks like an owl and is 7 feet tall with the face of a woman. And you're not supposed to go outside if you hear whistling in your window.
What else?
Oh, and La Llorona. She usually stays near bodies of water. She wears a white gown, long hair, and she's always crying for her children that she actually drowned. So you're next if you see her while driving on the side of the road.
Oh my god.
There's like this abandoned Disney park in Veracruz, Mexico.
What about it?
It has a statue that moves at night. There was 2 people exploring the abandoned park and caught it on video. Fam, you gotta check this out.
No, aguanta. Deja que mi cámara enfoque bien, deja que mi cámara enfoque bien. Deja que mi cámara enfoque bien, güey, eso no es el velador. No digas perras mamadas, no digas mamadas. Güey, es que era el vestido también así, güey. ¿Verdad? Amarillo.
And it's static, frozen. I'm good on Mexico.
But they do have beautiful women.
You right, we might have to risk it.
This 14-foot tiger shark would vomit up something that would terrify visitors and force shocked aquarium owners to call the police. Bert Hobson was in trouble. As the owner of the Coogee Aquarium in Sydney, his business was struggling. His prayers were answered when he caught a monster 14-foot tiger shark weighing over a ton Hopefully this would draw in the crowds. One sunny morning, the aquarium packed with visitors, the shark began to writhe and convulse. Eventually it vomited a rat, then a bird, then finally a whole human arm, complete with tattoos. Police attended and took fingerprints from the dismembered arm. The database matched them to a missing person, Jimmy Smith. Police interviewed one of Jimmy's friends. He cracked and revealed the full gruesome story of exactly what happened. Jimmy was involved in an insurance scam. He became greedy and tried to blackmail one of the other gang members before he went missing. The rest of his body was never found.
So they just fed it to the tiger shark?
Tonight's premiere starts at 9. We're giving away a free gift bag on YouTube. I'm sorry for the delay. It's about an hour late, but this video is one you don't want to miss. We're hunting the spirit of one of the most notorious criminals in American history, cult leader Jim Jones. Yes, we actually spent the night at his childhood church investigating this property, and it's rumored to be a location haunted by demonic entities. The energy that we captured on camera inside of the building, the evidence, is astounding stuff. It's some of the clearest, most definitive, most disturbing paranormal activity that I've ever caught on camera. But the video premiere starts tonight at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, so I will see all of you guys there. Make sure you leave a comment, like the video, and if you want to be entered to win the gift bag this week, comment Jim Jones on the video and like the video. Anyways, guys, I'll see you in a few hours, and yeah, this is not one you want to miss.
Should I check that out, man? The Paranormal Files, he be hunting at paranormal activity, so.
One of my biggest fears is finding something like this on my camera roll. The photo actually comes from Kelsey Surt back in 2013. She was a 17-year-old at the time, and she was browsing her camera roll when she found something that she didn't recognize. And that was this photo. It was a picture that she didn't take, but she could tell from the background that this was taken in her room. Police would review the info card on this photo where they see that it was taken at 1:39 p.m. That didn't make sense because Kelsey knew that for this date and this time she had her phone on her at school, which meant that whoever did take this photo of themselves, they also had the foresight to go in and change the date and the time that it was taken to throw off the investigation. Police also go in to try to brighten up the photo, right? Digitally enhance it, but even with this version, they cannot successfully identify who this is. Are they wearing a mask? Is that a person? But whoever took the photo and why just remains an unknown.
Scariest urban legend from each state, part 4. Robert the doll from Florida. A young boy named Eugene was gifted this doll as a birthday present. Eugene had Robert sleep next to him every single night, until a random night where Eugene woke up and saw Robert sitting across the room from him. After that night, things changed. They noticed every night that they heard footsteps in the attic, and something running up and down the stairs. He was inhabited by some demonic spirit, even having the neighbors say that they saw Robert looking through the window of the attic every single night. Robert is currently in an extremely safe spirit box in the East Martello Museum in Key West, Florida. It's stated if you make eye
was kidnapped and sacrificed by a cult that believed human sacrifice would protect their drug smuggling business. This is Mark Kilroy. He was a 21-year-old UT Austin student. Him and many other classmates were vacationing in South Padre. They found him and 14 other remains of other people. This cult was absolutely sick in the head. He was sodomized and tortured before they murdered him. He was then killed with a machete blow to the head. His brain was taken out and then boiled in a pot. After police discovered the remains, they arrested 4 cult members and hunted down the leader. The leader literally informed everyone that human sacrifice would protect their drug smuggling business, like I said, and it granted them immunity from law enforcement. I'm not sure where he got that from. When police had Costanzo cornered, he ordered a follower to shoot him. Like I said, most of the cult members were arrested, only 2 escaped and are still at large today. The media immediately labeled these people as Satanists. Although they didn't practice Satanism, it was something else. They also engaged in cannibalism with their victims. It was insane. Imagine being on spring break, getting kidnapped, tortured, and sacrificed by a cult and having your brain boiled in a pot. Not that you would be conscious or alive to know what's going on, but that is one of the most horrific ways to go out. What are your opinions on the story? Let me know.
Truly is, man. It shows, man, when people get that type of manipulation, they'll believe anything. You really told them they had immunity
His
from the
attacker
police.
used his head as a soccer ball. 15-year-old Michael Moss lived in Liverpool, had a happy childhood, and had an interest in mechanics. His mother stated that he wasn't very academic, but he could take a bike apart and put it back together, and he really loved motorbikes. When Michael was only 11 years old, his father passed away and his whole world was turned upside down. He was deeply affected by his father's death, and quickly at school, his behavior became disruptive and he was excluded. Because of that, Michael started attending a pupil referral unit that helped children with special educational needs before he was sent to a children's home to give his mother a break. It was there in 1999 when Michael would meet his future killers, his bullies, Alan, Mark, and Graham. Michael tried to keep a distance from these boys, but when he started dating Alan's ex-girlfriend, things would take a turn. Alan was not happy about this, and he would do anything to get revenge. Those three boys got together, drank alcohol, and watched Quentin Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs and got a plan into action. At 1 in the morning, Michael got a phone call from those three boys that they had a motorbike and they wanted him to look at it, and since he had a love for motorbikes, he was not going to say no, so unfortunately, he fatally took the bait. Michael had left the children's home where he was staying at and arrived at Moss Lane Park, and this is when he was ambushed. The three boys laid Michael on the floor and they each took turns kicking his head like a soccer ball. Michael's injuries were so severe that he was just unrecognizable. Michael did pass away from his injuries, and once his mother found out what had happened to him, she was heartbroken. As the investigation started, there was already evidence against the three boys, and Graham had actually turned himself in after he had told his mother what he had did as well as the other boys. July 26 of 2000, the three boys were found guilty. Alan and Mark were sentenced to 10 years in prison, while Graham was sentenced to 9 years.
If you hate clowns, this movie is really gonna get you. I just got out of seeing Clown in a Cornfield, and man, this movie was so much fun. Now, I've also read the book written by Adam Cesar, and I'm here to tell you it is an excellent and faithful adaptation of the novel. Quinn has just moved to Kettle Springs, and it's very obvious from the beginning something is not right. With an already growing major divide between the adults and the youths of the town Kettle Springs, you'd think that'd be bad enough, but now there is a clown in a cornfield. And y'all really don't want to fuck with Friendo. This was such a fun slasher movie, which was perfect because the book felt exactly the same tonal-wise, and it harkens back to the good old slashers of the 80s and 90s. And a major reason for that is Friendo himself. This clown is iconic, he's awesome looking, and terrifying as hell. And the best part is, it's palatably scary for most audiences going to see it. Take your friends and family and just have a good time watching a killer clown run through a cornfield hacking up the teenagers. It's got its own unique twists and turns, and I absolutely love Frendo's just fit and vibe. Also, I need one of these Jack in the Boxes, or Friendo in a Boxes. I need it. Clown in a Cornfield opens this weekend in theaters, and please do not miss this excellent slasher that is fun for frickin' everybody.
This disturbing image may not look real, but it very much is. This is a picture of Rhoda Derry, and I'm going to tell you her sad and tragic story. Rhoda Derry was born on October 10, 1834 in Adams County, Illinois. She lived a pretty normal life in a well-to-do farming family. Like any other teenage girl, when she was 16, she fell in love and began a romantic relationship with a boy who happened to live on the farm next door. The boy's parents weren't fond of their relationship, and it really went south when they found out their plans to marry a couple years later. They believed that Rhoda may be involved in witchcraft, a tale that dated back to her grandmother, Mary Derry of Pennsylvania. The story surrounding her grandmother frightened Rhoda, and matters were only made worse when the boy's mother came to her and told her to stay away, and if not, she would curse her. This is when things went south for Rhoda. She had a severe mental breakdown and eventually grew to believe that an evil spirit called Old Scratch was haunting her. She was hospitalized, but was deemed incurable, so she was returned back home to her parents. Her parents tried to care for her, but it became too much, so she was sent to Adams County Almshouse when she was 25 years old on September 3, 1860. The almshouse was known for treating patients inhumanely, and for 4 decades Rhoda was subjected to horrific conditions. A report from the General Assembly in 1881 indicated that Rhoda spent most of her time naked inside of a wooden box filled with straw. Her excrement filled the box and mice built nests around her. Rhoda sat in the box in a crouched position with her knees up to her chin. Because she sat in this position for so long, she eventually lost movement in her legs. She was constantly moving as well, so she had bruises all over her body. She even punched her face and knocked out her teeth, as well as gouged out her eyes. To make matters even worse, Rhoda could not speak. In 1904, she was sent to Bartonville Asylum. She was bathed daily and slept in a bed for the first time in decades. On October 9, 1906, the day before her 72nd birthday, she passed away. Rest in peace, Rhoda Derry.
And a haunting, it really messed with her.
This new UK ban is gonna ruin a lot of kids' lives. Sorry guys, if you're still in school or your kids are still in school, then I feel bad for you. Probably know there's been the whole talk about social media bans and stuff for years. Of course, Australia started implementing it last year. More recently, there's been a lot of these petitions popping up in the UK saying social media should be banned under 16, and it's got a lot of signatures. Now it's being called for a bit more officially though, with the government looking into it, police chiefs, and well, here's the latest. Looks like very soon there are going to be time limits and bans coming into place, so yeah kids, I'm sorry. First of all, kids who are under 16, they're not going to be banning it completely, but there are going to be time limits. So you're only going to be allowed to use 2 hours on social media every single day. And after 10 PM at night, you won't be able to go on any of it whatsoever. As people have been saying, this raises a lot of concerns because, well, some kids use things like WhatsApp to communicate with family and that, which counts as social media. Of course, there's also a lot of people who think this is a very good thing and kids need to have less time on their phone and social media. I'm also not sure how they're going to get around certain things though to make this fully official, because everybody would just use a VPN or pretend they're a different age. But let me know your thoughts if this is a good or a bad thing, and as always, I'll keep you updated.
What do you guys think on that one, Seekers? Good thing we're gonna be limiting the kids' social media time? Or you think that's an invasion of privacy? They're going a step too far. You gotta protect the kids out here though, so they're just doing anything they can.
Disturbing discovery tonight where investigators say a remote cave contains what may be the largest collection of crime scene evidence in state history.
Illinois' darkest secret just crawled out of the shadows. A cave packed with over 3,000 blood-soaked shoes, apparently spanning 300 years of disappearances.
We're seeing blood patterns consistent with violent trauma. The preservation conditions in the cave have kept some samples remarkably intact.
And the nightmare's just beginning. What began as a hiker's social media post has become a massive forensic investigation. On June 12th, a local college student exploring off-trail discovered the cave containing footwear ranging from 18th century moccasins to modern athletic shoes, nearly all with traces of blood.
The amount of shoes inside that cave is still unknown, but what I find most strange is why haven't we found these bloody shoes until now?
Forensic analysis has already matched DNA from several shoes to missing persons cases. The oldest confirmed match dates to 1792, a frontiersman who disappeared while surveying the area.
This isn't just a crime scene, Tide. It's a timeline of disappearances stretching from pioneer days to the digital age. The consistency is what's truly terrifying.
Hollow Vale Cave has become more than just a crime scene. It's a time capsule of tragedy, holding secrets from America's frontier past to the digital age. For investigators, the work is just beginning. For families of the missing, this discovery could mean answers centuries in the making. As hashtag Bloody Shoes continues to trend, let us know what you think in the comments below.
This is a true horrifying story.
Scary
Part
story.
82. This story took place in Cardiff, the capital of Wales. The story happened to a Muslim brother. It happened this month. And I urge everyone watching this to keep this brother in your prayers and your du'as. He also requested that we don't use his real name. So I'll give him a false name for the sake of this story and call him Ahmed. Ahmed is 20 years old. He is a second-year college student and he works part-time as a delivery driver. He had an order to deliver in an area called Pentrubane. It's an old village with nothing on the way there, just bushes and trees right and left. Now Ahmed has bladder issues. Ever since he was young, every time he needed to use the toilet, he wasn't able to hold it for too long. On his way to Pentrubane, he had to use the toilet urgently, and there was nothing on the way there, so he stopped his vehicle, went inside the bushes, and peed on one of the bushes. After he was done, he hopped back on his vehicle and proceeded towards the delivery point. On that same night, Ahmed went to bed, and while he was sleeping, he was awakened by a feeling of someone suffocating him. He was paralyzed, but his eyes were wide open. He saw a dark, slender-like figure that wrapped his hands around Ahmed's neck. He would get attacked every single night by this demon. He would also dream of the same demon haunting his little siblings. This demon was very upset with Ahmed. Some of you may not know why this is happening. Jinns come in various forms, powers, types, and sizes. Some live in caves, some in the ocean, and some in bushes. When you sabotage their homes, They will do everything they can to hurt you. When you burn a bush or spill hot water on a bush or even pee in a bush, they will try to kill you. I will leave this to our brother Mu'min Abu Mecca to teach you what you must do to prevent being stuck in a situation like this.
So don't pee on bushes. Noted, okay. I think we've all done that. At least I guess once in my life now.
There's no reason they shouldn't be doing this. They're getting paid to sit there, she said.
What the fuck going on here?
Someone explain this to me. This isn't a NASCAR race. Why are they sitting there? The Matrix is gonna Matrix. The Truman Show, y'all. Stay weird.
Let me tell you some things I
Okay.
just found out about. The Guinness World Record for most birthdays in one day belongs to a Pakistani family, with every member, including the mother and father, having been born on August 1st. Arnold Schwarzenegger had an older brother who was killed in a car crash in 1971 while driving drunk, and they both have sons named Patrick Schwarzenegger. How did I not hear that one before? The Luxor Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas is the third largest pyramid in the entire world. Tobey Maguire's father was convicted of robbing a bank. A New York man was arrested for keeping 7 live sharks in a pool in his basement. The creator of Pokemon was known as Mr. Bug when he was a child because he loved collecting bugs. Makes sense how Pokemon happened. There is a giant panda boot camp in China that teaches captive pandas survival skills before releasing them into the wild. I actually knew this one already, but I have to say it because humanity sent people to the moon before we added wheels to luggage.
Can someone tell me what was captured flying across the skies of Argentina in broad daylight? A large fireball-shaped object streaked across the skies of Argentina in broad daylight and was captured on multiple cameras. As a matter of fact, take a look at these videos. Look at that.
It's a meteor. It looks like it.
Straight up, straight up.
Falling from the sky.
He's telling him, look. When the video first starts, because it's so fast, it starts off just like this. And then, watch what it does. It actually gets brighter, as if it's igniting something to go faster. As a matter of fact, take one more look at it and watch how it lights up the sky as it shoots across. Look at that. After watching it again, what are your thoughts as to what you think that is? And the video did come from a news website source. So it did happen, and there's plenty of videos online if you search for Argentina fireball in the sky. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, I'd love to hear from you.
A Nigerian chef has just attempted history by cooking the largest pot of jollof rice ever. But when it was time to be weighed, something unbelievable happened. Linda Baci already holds the world record for the longest marathon cooking session ever. But over the weekend, she took things to the next level. She made a 1,000-liter pot, used a massive 4,000 kg of rice, which is the weight of a medium elephant or 2.5 cars. She used 612 kg of oil, don't tell America, 300 kg of onions, 164 kg of goat meat, and to cook it all, 1,200 kg of gas. But after a brutal 9 hours, when it finally came time to weigh this monster dish, as it was being lifted by this crane, one of the sides of the custom pot buckled and gave way to the supporting legs. Now, luckily, none of the food spilled, but ultimately, despite 2 attempts, it could not be weighed and the world record was not recognized. But don't worry, it was not for nothing. The food didn't go to waste. It was distributed in containers and fed to the crowds watching.
Can you tell what this
Wow.
is? It is the Ursula animatronic from Disneyland when its head fell off and it kept singing. There's a video at the end if you want to skip to that. It is disgustingly terrifying. It's one of the creepiest animatronic malfunctions I've ever seen. And this is how big she is in comparison to people, by the way, before she was painted and everything. She is massive. She is 7 feet tall, 12 feet wide because of her tentacles, and her head just fell off one day. Like, she is an absolute feat of engineering, and Ursula is queen. Okay, my favorite Disney song of all time will always be Poor Unfortunate Souls. But if I saw this with her singing, with her head off, and you could still see her mouth moving, I would be traumatized for life. Watch this video and let me know what we're thinking, and would this freak you out if you saw this animatronic malfunction? To this day, I've never found an animatronic malfunction that was scarier than this one. If you know of any, let me know.
Check it out. Imagine the kids in the crowd seeing it.
Ain't no way this is Zac Efron, y'all. There's no fucking way. What the happened to Zac Efron, y'all? Am I lost? This is Zac Efron?
This is clone.
In 2025? This man look like Efron Zac. So y'all telling me right now that this is the same person that played in High School Musical, Zac Efron. This was a couple years ago. So how the hell he go from this to this?
I don't know.
It looked like on this picture he was swimming with the puffer fish. Nah, y'all, I'm being dead ass serious. What the be going on in Hollywood, y'all? They said right here was in 2021. Right here is 2025. When he had a daddy makeover?
Big difference.
He even got kids? Is this what men do? Did he get jawline surgery? Did his whole face get changed from plastic surgery? Somebody let me know down below in the comments. Who the fuck is this really? Is this really Zac Efron?
Shit that I'm about to tell you right
Look like he got a tag.
Because I didn't believe it. So a whole village in Russia fell asleep for 7 days. You ain't hear what I just said, right? An entire village in Russia fell asleep for 7 days. Mind you, everybody in that village is still confused to know why they all fell asleep for 7 days at the same exact time. But here it is. When that entire village woke up, most of them didn't even know where they were at. Some of them didn't even know who they were. And to top it all off, they didn't know why they all fell asleep for those 7 days. Now, everybody who knows about this doesn't know exactly what happened. They're saying that they believe there had to be some kind of chemical that made them fall asleep. Now, ask yourself this. A whole village falls asleep 7 days straight, and that's just regular? That's not regular. Something happened here. What kind of chemical can put a whole village to sleep for 7 days? That chemical had to be strong as hell. You even have people saying it could have been something paranormal. A lot of other people were saying that they might have been running the test to see exactly how people would react and respond if something like this happened. I guess they got the answers. Whatever it is, it's dangerous. You see that a whole village fell asleep for 7 days. If whatever chemical or whatever they did was unleashed fully, they might not have woken up.
Here's some of the creepiest ads that have ever aired. This ad was aired on August 1st, 2012, and was meant to spread awareness of the company Little Baby's Ice Cream, but it ended up spreading fear instead. If the visuals of the supposed ice cream man eating itself isn't enough to disturb you, the raspy voice of the narrator will.
I eat Little Baby's ice cream. It keeps me young. It keeps me light on my feet.
Throughout this ad, the narrator tells you all the good things that will happen to you if you eat their ice cream. And the narrator finishes it off with their disturbing slogan.
Ice cream is a feeling.
That ain't no damn ice cream.
Pilates is demonic. Pilates was created in the 1920s by Joseph Pilates. He was a sickly man who healed his body through exercise. He taught his first method in New York City in 1926. On the surface, it seemed innocent, but there's actually a little more that you might not know. 4 years after starting Pilates, Joseph actually joined the Freemasons in 1930. The Freemasons are a secret brotherhood that's been whispered about for centuries. It's said to quietly pull the strings of everyone powerful behind the scenes. While his exercise has nothing to do with the Freemasons specifically, his membership connects him to a society that some Christians view as spiritually concerning. It's not Pilates itself, but the history raises a lot of questions. Joseph had studied yoga, Zen Buddhism, and other Eastern disciplines. This shaped his method's focus on mindfulness, breathing, and mind and body connection. So the movements themselves are not inherently evil. That's not what I'm saying. But the philosophies behind them are what Christians are very concerned about. They consider your mind and your body to be connected. And so when you're practicing these movements that have been influenced by things outside of your faith, by like philosophies and ideas and ways of life that you aren't familiar with, they believe that this can have an influence on you, like because it came from like other sorts of spiritual origins. So let me know if you think Pilates is demonic, and follow for more.
What do you think, Seekers?
World War II, they did an insane amount of nuclear blowing up nukes. They used a lot of soldiers for experiments to like on ships like in the ocean. So they would be on a ship in the ocean and they would set off a nuke and they would say, okay, now cover your eyes with your hands. And they said with the brightness and radiation that these nukes put off, they said they could literally see their bones through their skin. And one guy said, talking to the interviewer, if the bomb were to blow up behind you, now staring at you, he said, I can see every bone in your body.
What kind of cancers do these men have today?
I don't know, they're all old dudes, so they're probably all like super young.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like literally holding a flashlight or something kind of similar, but just fully
But he said you do
transparent.
this and you would see your bones in your hands.
Tan line would be crazy.
Just
Think of like nuclear testing videos. We have a ton from like the 1900s. Why don't we have any new footage?
Because I think we don't really test them all much. I think something was passed where you're not allowed to necessarily set them off anymore.
You have to test them if you're building or testing.
Maybe you can test the components.
Yeah.
So just imagine
Scary.
you face a tea with ratatouille marinating in it. This has to be on a whole different level of diabolicalism. How did Lil Squeak even fit inside of the can to begin with? And it's like we can't go to the grocery store, we can't trust fast food, because of shit like this keep happening. Because at that point, you either have to sue them or call up your YNs and go bump down on the headquarters. And you could tell by the tea that the rat enhanced the flavor. Went from a sweet tea to a Master Shifu tea. Yeah, like the Ninja Turtles' daddy. And I just know that she knew that it tasted extra squeaky. And what makes this worse is this ain't the first time Lil Ratatouille has been found inside of a can. They even popping up in people's energy drink. You think you quench your thirst, instead you gulp a bunch of rat sweat? To me, that's a reasonable crash out. But I'm curious, y'all let me know what y'all would have did if y'all found a little squeaker inside of your drink in the comments. Like and follow for more wisdom and stay tuned. And remember, if you want to learn how you can turn your social media into printing you money just by posting videos, comment down below ATM. I'm gonna send it to you.
Be careful what you drink.
Oh, I didn't. But someone told me about it. So he had like a witch on stream, and he went to go visit her place, and they were doing a whole bunch of rituals and stuff. And he started getting really sketched out. I'm kind of scared. The theory was that people were saying that he felt as if she was taking something from him. Oh, no. Yeah, like spiritually, and it was affecting him in that moment. So what happened was they were in the middle of something, and then he started feeling something off. Like, I need this thing for my stream. I'll be right back, okay? And he looks at the camera, he goes, pause, hurry, mute, and then just walks away, and then just leave. Mute. They don't even say bye to the lady, nothing like that. Just get out of there. Because people are saying that she was trying to curse him or do some rituals that he felt were really, really wrong to him.
This robot is the first humanoid that never needs to stop working because it changes its own batteries autonomously. UB Tech Walker S2 weighs 95 pounds and can detect when its battery is running low, walk to a charging station, and swap its own battery pack in under 3 minutes without any human help. The robot uses both arms to remove the depleted battery from its upper back, place it in the charging dock, grab a fresh battery, and install it perfectly while continuing to operate on its backup power. This breakthrough eliminates the last major bottleneck requiring human intervention in robotic operations, enabling true 24/7 autonomous factory work without any downtime or human oversight. Chinese robotics companies are now competing directly with Tesla, Boston Dynamics, and other American firms by deploying robots that can maintain themselves indefinitely in industrial environments. Factories could operate completely autonomously with robots that work continuously, never get tired, never make mistakes, and never need human assistance. Walker S2 is already being tested in real factory environments where it performs complex tasks while managing its own power needs like a completely self-sufficient worker. This represents the transition from robots as tools that humans operate to robots as autonomous workers that manage themselves and their own operational requirements. When robots can work 24/7 without any human intervention whatsoever, what happens to the millions of factory and warehouse jobs that still require people?
The girl that was found decomposing in the front trunk of David's Tesla has finally been identified, and based on all the new details we just got, it seems that this is not going to end well for David. So for context, this girl's name is Celeste, and she was found in the front trunk of David's Tesla, and it turns out that Celeste was 15 years old. And this is where it makes me even more sicker to my stomach, because the remains that were found of Celeste were initially so unidentifiable. This is where it gets even more worse for her, because Celeste has been missing since April of 2024. Her Celeste mom's just told TMZ that her daughter had been dating a boyfriend named David and had mentioned getting a tattoo with him. As the tattoo that Celeste had on her finger was a tattoo that said shh, which is a tattoo that David also has. A reminder that David is 20 and Celeste is 15. And this is where it gets even more insaner, as seemingly David didn't even have this shish tattoo until a year ago. And remember, the night that the body was found in David's front, David went on stage in Minneapolis and seemingly did not directly address this, as he has allegedly been cooperative. And remember, this is all alleged and nothing has been confirmed yet. A lot of people are saying that after a 15-year-old with a matching tattoo of you found in your car is not a good look.
It's not a...
See, Chris, what do you guys think about the David situation, bro? That's crazy. It's a whole lot of information came out yesterday, man, and it wasn't looking good, bro. Can't believe Jason Wayne did a song with them, man. I mean, nobody knew, but that's just crazy.
As you might think. For years, Disney's been accused of hiding adult subliminal jokes in their movies. This one, boys, is actually true. Actual Disney animators have admitted that they slip subtle jokes in for the parents when creating these movies, as they know the kids won't get it or understand it anyway, but it just actually makes it a little bit more enjoyable for the parents who are watching it. For instance, the priest in The Little Mermaid looking just a little bit too happy. And one of the craziest ones you probably haven't seen before, in Zootopia, there's a Breaking Bad parodying reference. The sheep villains run a you-know-what lab, creating the blue stuff, and they're both named Walt and Jesse. So Disney do hide these things in their movie, but once you see them, you definitely can't unsee them. But this one most definitely is a truth.
Jersey just legalized compost made of human remains. So within the next 10 months in New Jersey, you'll be able to turn a loved one that passed away into compost. Now apparently this whole human to compost process takes about 45 days to complete, and it, quote, gently turns the body into nutrient-rich soil. Now this is achieved by placing a human into a vessel filled with organic materials, which is then sealed and attached to an HVAC system. Well, even though this all is new to New Jersey, it is not new to the US itself, as back in 2019, Washington became the first state to legalize this whole human composting process. And since then, a couple of other states like New York and now New Jersey have also followed suit. Now, after the process is done, you can decide if you want a little bit of the compost to spread sort of similar to ashes, or if you want a lot so you can, like, plant a plant with it. Note to self, remind me not to eat any crops from New Jersey or New York. But the whole reason this exists is to sort of be an alternative to cemeteries, since a lot of them are getting overcrowded. New Jersey is the 14th state to legalize this practice since it started all the way back in 2019.
When I was a child, I loved playing the Mario Brothers. But now that I'm older, I understand why I love playing this video game. I used to think it was all fun and games, but now I'm more mature. I understand they was laughing at us. Once you start studying spirituality, you will understand that the goddess Sophia created everything. The name Sophia means wisdom. When you play the Mario Brothers, you see Princess Toadstool. She represents Sophia, the goddess. King Cooper is the one that stole the goddess. King Cooper represents the Dracolians or the reptilians. It's a lot of conspiracies that's going around saying that alien reptilians control this world. Well, King Cooper represents reptilians, and the politicians may be reptilians. In order to save the princess or the goddess, you have to beat 8 castles. The 8 castles is connected to the 8 phases of the moon. King Cooper or the reptilian had 7 children. He made 8. The 8 phases of the moon represents the 8 castles. Reptiles is known to be cold-blooded creatures. The moon is known to be ice cold because the reptilians live there. When you play this game, you can take mushrooms and it make you stronger. In our reality, you take magic mushrooms and it tap you into the spiritual world. When you turn the game on, you start at world 1 with 5 lives. 5 lives represents reincarnation. You only have 5 chances to get it right. This video is about to get a little dark. Stay with me. If you ever play this video game, you notice every time Mario go down the pipe, he is going to a different world. That world represents different dimensions. If you want to travel to different realities.
So this is what they mean by New York not being a real place, because not only do you have cars dropping into massive sinkholes, but New York also experienced some type of crazy hailstorm yesterday as well too, y'all. Look at this, y'all. That's crazy. Right after the car fell into that pothole, New York was like, here, let me fill that pothole with some ice. And look at this, y'all. The heavy wind, rain, and ice was really coming down at one point in time. Look at this deck over here, y'all. It looked like little salt pebbles, doesn't it? Right? The earth is being salted right now, man. The season is here. That's crazy. It seems that New York is definitely doing its part out in the Matrix. This hailstorm caused some significant damage to some cars. New York has also been getting tornado warnings. This wasn't a tornado that would knock down the tree, but this hailstorm was accompanied with heavy winds, and it was knocking down trees onto the ground. Ice is everywhere, y'all. I told y'all, man. ICE is in the form of government, and you know this over here, that ICE is working overtime all over the planet, y'all. In the form of government, you know, hot as hell, you know, and then you get ice as hell. Ice as hell as well too. Vanilla ice, baby. The shit is here. Let's get it. Peace out.
Okay. Worked at Harvard, stole people's heads, brains, and skin from cadavers and sold them in the black market. 57-year-old Cedric Lodge was a Harvard Medical School morgue manager and just pleaded guilty to stealing and selling body parts from cadavers. He worked at Harvard for 30 years and ran a program where people donate their body parts for science, and it wasn't until recently that they found out he was stealing body parts. From 2018 to 2020, he secretly removed organs, brains, skin, hands, faces, and dissected heads after the bodies were used for research. Instead of disposing of the bodies, he took them home to New Hampshire. His wife was also in on this, and they sold the remains to buyers in different states. And they made good money doing this, apparently tens of thousands of dollars. Cedric pleaded guilty this week and faces up to 10 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. Harvard did fire him in 2023 and called his actions a morally reprehensible betrayal. The school also insists that he did act alone and that no other Harvard employee was involved. But get this, some human remains were also found being sold on Facebook Marketplace.
Life hacks.
Do you guys believe the corruption just stopped there, or there could possibly be more to that story, Seekers? I don't know, that sounds like a freaking deep rabbit hole we might have to go down. His wife is in on it too, so who's to say some other people weren't in on it? You never know.
That everyone needs to know part 2. To remove a tight ring that's stuck on your finger, all you have to do is grab a string and tuck it under the ring. And then grab that same string and wrap it around your finger, and from there all you have to do is grab the other side and start pulling. The ring will magically remove itself. All you have to do to remove tape paper without ripping it is to hold the tape from both ends and start pulling really hard, which will then cause the tape to get removed super easily. If your house key broke in the lock for some reason, just get yourself a hot glue stick and place it inside the lock just like this, and just wait for it to dry a little bit and pull it really hard, and there you have it, your key is out.
Wow.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. The Voynich manuscript is an ancient book full of symbols and drawings that no one can translate till this day. Dracula was based on a real person. Vlad Dracula, a Romanian ruler that very much enjoyed watching people bleed to death. In 1963, the Bronx Zoo had an exhibition called The Most Dangerous Animal in the World. It was a mirror. 2 fishermen used their dead friend's ashes as fishing bait, and they caught the world's biggest carp. These are how Halloween costumes looked like in the 30s. If Earth stopped spinning for 1 second, everything and everyone will die instantly. A new homeowner found an old doll boarded up in his wall holding a note saying she killed a family in this house. This house is named the John Lawson House, and nobody knows who lives here. Every day, this porch is occupied by a number of female mannequins. The number of mannequins, the positions they're in, and the clothes they wear are changed every day, and no one knows who is doing this and why. Like for part 18.
Stay away from that house, man. John Lawson's house, noted.
Scary facts that will make your skin crawl. BT point 6. Phobias are based on how we died in our past life. Maybe that's why we're afraid to do things we never tried, because it's how we died. Experts said that dark areas, such as abandoned houses and vacant rooms, are the possible places where you can feel the presence of ghosts. So if you're alone right now while reading this post, there is a chance that someone is watching you. If you're awake at night without a reason, then it means that you are awake in someone else's dreams.
Really? Interesting. Something standing out.
Scary fun facts until the Orbeez overflow. There are microscopic mites that live in your eyelashes. Being buried alive happens so often on accident that they've now invented safety coffins. In the 1800s, dentures were made with real teeth from the deceased. Radio station UVB76 has been broadcasting since 1982. All it does is make creepy noises and nobody knows where it's broadcasting from. Chainsaws were originally invented for childbirth. The final part of Mount Everest that you have to climb is known as Rainbow Valley. They call it that because all you see is all the different colored jackets from the frozen hikers. And it looks like I'm out of time. Follow for more fun facts.
Wow, okay.
Disturbing facts that may ruin your day. You are the oldest that you have ever been and the youngest that you will ever be. Your bed absorbs 26 gallons of your sweat every year. There are 15 dead people for every one person alive. Science can't measure exactly how strong a gorilla is, so there's no sure way on how to contain them. The gorilla enclosures at zoos are just based on trust. Every 18 minutes, someone in the United States has a brain aneurysm that ruptures. Vampire moths are real and can feed on the blood of humans. A jar of peanut butter contains 10 or more rodent hairs and can contain up to hundreds of insect fragments. Big Bird almost joined NASA's Challenger mission to help kids become more interested in space. Millions of kids would have watched Big Bird and the Challenger space shuttle explode on live television. Follow for more.
Scary facts that will give you nightmares, part 5. First up, did you know that pigs can eat literally anything, including humans? One thing a lot of people don't know about pigs is that there have been many records of farmers dying because their pigs ate them. This is usually because while tending to the pigs, the farmers will run into an accident like falling or something, and then the pigs will feast on their body. Next up, have you ever heard of fatal familial insomnia? Well, it's a rare genetic disease that can be inherited and makes it impossible for someone to sleep for months. Since this type of insomnia can last for so long, it can leave someone so exhausted that they develop high blood pressure, weight loss, severe exhaustion, and then death. And lastly, did you know that trees can grow inside of your lungs? In Russia, doctors were performing surgery on a man because they thought he had lung cancer, but instead of a tumor, they found a 5-centimeter tree branch in his lungs. They later found out that he swallowed a fir bud, which then grew into a tree branch.
We made dire bees almost 70 years ago, and we have not stopped paying for it. In the 1950s, folks flew in African honeybees to Brazil because they figured they could breed them with European honeybees in the hopes of making a hybrid better bee, one that was more productive than Euro bees and less on-site than Afro bees, because Afro bees are black Air Force tier of trouble. Brazilian beekeepers used excluder screens to keep the African queens from getting out. Problem is, they did not tell the new guys. Someone saw the screen screening, and was like, oh, we can't have that, and removed the screen, sending 26 African queens and swarms of Euro bees into Brazil, which quickly led to Africanized honeybees, or more known as killer bees. You see, generational trauma then made these African bees that much more trigger happy. Normally, a European queen bee will usually send out 20 to 30 attack bees at once. African honey queens unload half the whole clip, sending thousands, sometimes 30,000 attack bees at once. Not only that, but they chase people further than Euro bees and sting 10 times as much, with cases of people being tailgated by an angry swarm for a quarter quarter of a mile. There's even stories of swarms waiting directly above a body of water so that the moment the runner comes up for air, all he gets is smoke. Over 1,000 people have been turned past tents by an air force of spite flies. And after being released in Brazil in '57, they hit America in the '90s like Will Smith and left their mark like the Fresh Prince left on Chris. And to add insult, they also somehow nerfed the honey industry, so nature really slapped us for cutting corners. And today, Africanized honeybees are like a rash infecting the U.S. Southwest. Moral of the story, be better or be turned into letters, 3 in particular, the more you know.
The strangest places in the world, part 1. Firstly, on top of a hill in Pennsylvania, some stones can be found that shouldn't actually be there, because there's no nearby high terrain where they could have originated. These are called the ringing rocks, because whenever something hits these stones, they make a strange ringing noise.
Weird.
Next is the petrifying well in England, where water flows from a rock and turns whatever it touches into stone. As you can see, people often leave items like hats, teddy bears, or even bicycles, which appear to have already been turned into stone. Some people believe there's a mystical power, but the scientific reason behind this is the unusually high mineral content in the water, which forms a hard mineral shell on any object it comes into contact with. And within a few months, everything essentially becomes a stone statue.
Stone water.
The parents of 20-year-old Sudishka Kunaki believe that their daughter drowned in the ocean in the Dominican Republic and are pushing authorities to declare her deceased. Sudishka's parents also said that they don't believe Joshua Wright, who was the last person seen with their daughter before she went missing, to be involved in her death. Joshua also testified that Sudishka's parents hugged and thanked him for trying to save their daughter's life. Now, authorities were really surprised that Sudishka's parents asked to declare their daughter deceased after only 12 days of her going missing, when usually investigations go on for months before they stop looking for someone. But I don't know, in this case, it seems like their parents are genuinely convinced that Joshua didn't do anything to hurt their daughter, and I guess after seeing all the surveillance footage of both of them together before she went missing, the only other possibility is that she drowned in the ocean. This is the last time Sudishka and Joshua were seen together at the resort, and a lot of people have speculated that perhaps Sudishka was abducted on the beach after Joshua fell asleep, because remember, they were both really intoxicated. But I don't know, that seems very unlikely, especially at a resort in the Dominican Republic where, for the most part, it's pretty safe.
Animal group names that should be illegal for how happy they make me for free. A group of ferrets is called a business, which means I can finally show this picture without being out of context. And if that sounds too professional, just remember this first Slinky's Latin name means stinky weasel thief. A group of vultures is called a wake, but only when they're eating. When they're flying, they're called a kettle. A group of porcupines is a prickle. A prickle of porcupines, which also describes how they mate. A plurality of platypus is a paddle. Several sloths are a snuggle. A group of baboons in one place is a congress. No comment. A group of crows is scientifically referred to as a murder. Did you know crows will investigate the cause of death when a member of their murder croaks? Sloths will seemingly mourn the dead and grieve the loss of their... Oh, never mind. A group of ravens is an unkindness, and for the record, if you want to know the difference, if you're wondering if it's a crow or raven, it's a crow. And if you're wondering what in the Edgar Allan Nevermore looking... It's probably a raven. Unkindness comes from the idea that ravens are deadbeat parents that often evict their chicks before they're even ready. They're also called a conspiracy. You know what else is a conspiracy? A lot of lemurs. This entire scene is a conspiracy, and the biggest one is that ring-tailed lemurs are female-dominated, so King Julian is actually a queen and a Julia. A group of parrots is a pandemonium, and once upon a time, a parrot was kicked out of a former president's funeral because he kept swearing through the service, so yeah, pandemonium. And lastly, a group of alpacas is a herd. But an alpaca giving birth is called an unpacking. Send it back.
Another cold case has been solved thanks to DNA. On December 23, 1983, 24-year-old Ronald Lee Novak was found dead in his home in rural Walker, Iowa. He was found by a friend with his hands tied behind his back in an unheated room in his apartment in the dead of winter in Iowa. He had been beaten and shot, but it was determined that his cause of death was a combination of his injuries, shock, and hypothermia. Investigators believed he was killed in a robbery or burglary gone wrong, but they had no suspects, and unfortunately, his case went cold. But over the last decade, DNA from Ronald's case was being tested, including DNA from his clothing and from a hammer found in his home believed to be used in the attack. Genetic genealogy allowed investigators to narrow the DNA down to 3 brothers, and then further DNA testing revealed that it was likely that 64-year-old Michael Schappert, who now lives in Fairview, Oregon, was the likely killer. The investigation revealed that Schappert, quote, likely went to Novak's home with the intent to rob him of money and marijuana. And now, more than 40 years after Ronald Novak's murder, he has been arrested. Schappert was arrested in Oregon and is being held there pending extradition to Iowa, and he is facing first-degree murder charges. The case is not completely closed, though, because it is believed that at least one more suspect was involved in Ronald's murder. Lynn County Sheriff Brian Gardner said, quote, "By naming a suspect, it may cause other people to now come forward that maybe weren't willing to do so previously. Or maybe this has jogged their memory some 41 years later." Ronald's sister said after the arrest that the investigation has been a long ride for the family, and she didn't know if she would ever see this day come. She said, quote, "You start to give up hope that there will be an answer. I wanted it so bad. We look forward to the trial. At least now Ronald's family has answers, and hopefully he will soon be getting the justice he deserves. Rest in peace, Ronald."
These are some Rest in peace. Justice come to you sooner or later.
If you could rack your brain right now to ask yourself what is the most disturbing Disney Channel original movie, which one would you pick? If you chose Don't Look Under the Bed, you're correct, because the movie actually almost never even made it to television. Any of the sequences that did eventually make the cut were considered so disturbing, this is actually one of the only Disney Channel original movies that has a TV PG rating. Anne Sweeney, who was the president of Disney Channel at the time, as well as countless other executives, had a lot of issues with this film. And even to this day, there are still some sequences, some scenes that have never seen the light of day. They were not going to be included in the movie. And I think in part, the credit should go to the director, who was really trying to creatively push the boundaries of what could be included in children's horror. Even just beyond the disturbing imagery, they explored some pretty dark themes in a children's movie, starting to play with psychological horror when Frances can see things that everybody else thinks she's crazy for. In 2006, Disney Channel had to pull it from the October catalog. It will not be on Disney Channel again.
YouTubers who became murderers, part 1. This was the YouTuber Elliot Rogers' last video.
Tomorrow is the day of retribution. The day in which I will have my revenge against humanity, against all of you.
This was called the Day of Retribution. The son of a Hollywood filmmaker killed 6 people. Roger left the car and saw students across the street. He shot at them, taking the life of Veronica Weiss and Catherine Cooper. The suspect proceeded on foot and fired several rounds into the deli. One of the bullets struck and took the life of a student named Christopher Martinez. Then he drove down the left side of the road so he could fire at 2 pedestrians. Police then came running across the park, and Roger fired at them as he drove. But he was struck in the left hip. After he hit a cyclist, he crashed his car into the back of an SUV.
This guy in Brazil would dress up as Batman with a red hood. He even had his own homemade weapons like the batarang and everything. He would break into suspected criminals' homes and just beat them senseless. This is as close to lore-accurate Batman as we might get. His name is Rodrigo Rodrigues da Silva. He was also known as the Punisher of Paranaíba in Brazil. He was arrested back in 2023. When he broke in, he had like bladed gauntlets, like the batarang, a utility belt full of different weapons and stuff. He also told police he had intentions to use all of his weapons on the person's home that he broke into. In Brazil, homicides are very, very prevalent in the country. He got kind of sick of all these criminals getting away with it, so he decided to take justice into his own hands. I forgot one more thing. He also had a submachine gun on him. It's not pictured here, but crazy. And mind you, these are suspected criminals, so maybe some of these aren't confirmed criminals, but it's just crazy to think about, Batman breaking into your home and just beating you senseless at night. And the work that he put in to make his suit and his weapons and everything, crazy stuff. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Her father. You ever real life Batman, bro, in Brazil? How come that didn't make that in the news or something, man? This is my first time hearing it, bro. He real life tried to become Batman, bro. He had the weapons, the batarangs, all that. That's freaking crazy to think about, man. We got a real life Batman before GTA 6.
Judith Eva Barcy was born on June 6 of 1978 in Los Angeles, California. Her parents, Joseph and Maria, were originally from Hungary and had met at a restaurant in California. From a very young age, Maria was fascinated with Hollywood and was determined to make her daughter famous. Judith was discovered while she was ice skating one day and was asked to come out in a commercial. From there, it was just the start of her career, and she came out in the movies All Dogs Go to Heaven and Land Before Time. Judith was very small for her age, and she even started taking hormone injections to make herself grow. Her success helped her family thrive, and she was making about $100,000 a year, and her parents used that to buy a 3-bedroom house in Los Angeles. Although Judith's career was thriving, something sinister was going to happen behind the scenes. Judith's father had drinking problems, and he was angry with his daughter's success. He had even gotten arrested 3 times for driving under the influence. Many of Maria's friends told her to leave her husband, but she refused because she was scared that she was going to lose the house, her belongings, and that he would unalive her somehow. On July 27th of 1988, around 8:30 a.m., the family's neighbor was watering her garden when she heard an explosion. That neighbor rushed to call 911 because she was afraid that Joseph had unalived his family. That neighbor was right because Joseph had shot Maria and Judith in the head and then poured gasoline everywhere. And Maria were buried together in Hollywood Hills, California, and Joseph is said to be in an unmarked grave.
This might be the most insane case of police cover-up I've ever seen in my entire life. Arrest has finally been made in the murder of Sandra Birchmore, who all of this started back in 2010 when Sandra was just 12 years old. She enrolls in the county's police youth program where her alleged killer, Officer Matthew Farwell, is an instructor. At some point, Officer Farwell, who's 27 years old, begins grooming Sandra, and by the time she's 15, they're having a full-on intimate relationship, if you know what I mean. When Sandra turns 18, she's obviously aged out of the program, but maintains a relationship with Officer Farwell, who is married with children. In October of 2020, Sandra tells Farwell that she wants a child, and he apparently agrees to get her pregnant in exchange for her silence about the statutory R-word and extramarital affair. 2 months later, Sandra's pregnant, and after Farwell finds out, he becomes physically violent with Sandra. She told multiple friends that Farwell had pushed her, shoved her, and even placed her in a chokehold. In January the following year, someone called the police department and leaked this information. When the employee told Farwell about this phone call, he became visibly angry and told them to keep this information secret. Within days of that phone call, Farwell starts to allegedly plan Sandra's murder. All of a sudden, he wants a spare key to her apartment. 2 days after that, he starts canvassing her apartment, looking for places to carry out the murder. He inspected her bathroom closet, specifically places where items could be hung, and his behavior was strange enough that Sandra told multiple friends that she was concerned. A week later, on February 1st, Farwell enters Sandra's apartment wearing a face mask where police say he strangled her to death. And by the way, while Farwell was allegedly committing this murder, his wife was in the hospital giving birth. Family ended up hiring a private medical examiner who did rule it as a homicide. After years of a federal investigation and her family refusing to stay silent, Matthew Farwell has finally been indicted for her murder.
He is interested in blondes. I'm not blonde, I'm a brunette. So I'd go in the shower, take fingernail clippers, and just cut my hair off. Trying to do everything I can to get his attention again. I would have given anything to that man. I would have bought the sun, the moon, and the stars and gave it to him on a platter. And that hurts me that I loved him that much.
Why does it hurt you?
Because I feel like no one is ever gonna love him as much as I loved him at that time. And it makes me feel better knowing that he's truly sorry for hurting me. But it doesn't change anything. Like, I married Ryan. I have a marriage now. I'm wearing this wedding ring that belonged to Ryan's mom. Like, I have a commitment to my husband. And I want to keep that.
Talking about her ex.
But what's gonna happen when Ryan and I have an argument? Is that little thought in the back of my head gonna say, Ken is single?
Jeffrey Dahmer targeted this 14-year-old boy. The police found him naked, bleeding from his rectum and everything, and Jeffrey Dahmer convinced the police to return him. He told the police that was his boyfriend. They had an argument. Police returned him to Dahmer, and then he got mutilated that night and killed. His name was Konorak Sympthosophone. And like I said, he was found naked, drugged, and bleeding from his rectum on a street corner, and police returned him to Jeffrey Dahmer. Like, dude, if you're seeing blood on somebody, maybe investigate, ask some more questions. His death was also absolutely horrific. He had a hole drilled into his head, and then Jeffrey Dahmer poured acid inside of it to try to recreate a real-life zombie out of him. He was trying to melt the kid's brains out. I think if the kid acted out and got arrested by police, he would have had a better chance to live. This is just so crazy that you would see the kid in this condition and decide to return him to, like, the person that's claiming to be his boyfriend. Hell, even if it was his boyfriend, right? Just look at the situation he's in, dude. Just investigate more. There's obviously some sort of abuse going on here. But it is sickening how much Jeffrey Dahmer actually got away with. This is just one of his many sick and twisted ways that he killed people. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
People are just finding out about the 500-year-old girl who is coming back to life. Stick with me because you're in for a wild ride, as you can see here. I did a video on this a long time ago, but for some reason it's circulating round again right now, freaking people out online and on social media, so here we go. So this mummy right here is known as La Doncella, or the Children of the Lulacana. These different mummies here are all part of the same family, the Children of the Lulacanu, where this group of mummies were found preserved at the top of the Lulacano volcano. But just wait, because it's crazy. This is the Lulacano volcano, which they were found right at the summit of this. And as you can imagine, it's pretty high up and pretty damn cold. The first crazy part is that look how realistic she looks right now, and she's over 500 years old. But with all of these people being believed to have lived in the 14 and 1500s, and it's also believed they were and sacrificed when they were only around 13 years old, then buried and left at the top of this. Now where it gets even more interesting, of course, the archaeologists found these preserved bodies with all the body features and everything still being there after 500 years. Normally you'd be gone, mate. But this is how you might imagine someone who had passed away about 20-30 years ago at tops. But by far the craziest bit out of all of this, I know you're waiting for it, she's coming back to life. Essentially, what happened is the scientists who were doing the tests when they got these preserved mummies obviously wanted to figure out how the hell is this possible. Of course, from being at the altitude and those sort of temperatures, it froze her body and her insides. So they found her organs perfectly intact, healthier than probably some of you, and even frozen blood still in her body and in her veins. So she was basically the first person to get cryogenically frozen. Now, no, she's not necessarily coming back to life, just going to get up and start walking again. All of these mummies are now in a museum. But the point of what people have been saying is she could technically come back to life. I actually saw a few scientists have said that it could potentially be possible, but it's not exactly going to be the easiest thing in the world, so I highly doubt it.
And they said her organs intact. Blood and stuff still circulating. Certainly a chance, but like I said, I don't know. Mummies? This shit getting crazier, bro.
Correct! If someone is trying to make you decide in a hurry, they are probably giving you a bad deal. Walk away. If someone has a panic attack, start breathing regularly and loudly. The person that is panicking will subconsciously start breathing in rhythm with you. When a group of people laugh, they tend to look at the person they like the most. Nervousness and excitement have the same body reaction, so if you're nervous for a speech, trick yourself into thinking you're actually excited. If you think someone is watching you, fake a yawn, then watch them. Get someone to contribute to an idea and they will more likely accept it. If you whisper to someone, it's more likely they will whisper back even if there's no good reason to lower your voice. If you want to make someone feel uncomfortable, look at their forehead while you're talking to them. If you want somebody to open up to you, ask them a question. If the person only partially answers it, remain silent and keep eye contact. This will pressure the person into talking more. If you want to be more persuasive, reduce the use of the words I think and I believe. Okay. Touching someone on their shoulder or on their knee creates a stronger emotional bond with that person. Chew gum if you are still nervous. Our brains assume that if we are eating, then we are not in any immediate danger, lowering our fight or flight response. When you approach a group of people, notice if they turn their feet towards you or away from you. If their feet point away from you, you are probably not welcome. Subtly nodding when people are talking to you indicates that you are genuinely interested in what they are having to say and they're going to like you more. If you take a moment to look at someone's eye color when meeting them, you'll be giving them the perfect amount of eye contact. If there is a mirror behind where you are ordering, you are less likely to be rude because nobody wants to see themselves actually be rude. If you buy the first pitcher at the bar with your friends, you'd be surprised how far you could go by saying, I bought the first one. If someone is making jokes at your expense, act like you can't hear them and ask them to repeat it multiple times. By the time they say it a third or fourth time, nobody's laughing. When someone remembers you, they are most likely going to remember the first memory and the last memory of you. So make sure you always leave a good last impression too. After you have learned how to do something new and have done it yourself, the fastest way to retain that information is to teach somebody else. If you have a song stuck in your head and you can't get it out, try and listen to the whole song all the way through while singing it. Your brain is treating the song like an unfinished task in your subconscious. Plan something for every Wednesday that you can look forward to. You'll start to look forward to it on Monday, and by the time Wednesday comes around, you're already halfway through the week and almost to the weekend. Wow. If you ask someone to do a small favor for you, their subconscious mind is going to register that they like you because they're doing a favor for you. Showing the palms of your hands while talking to someone subconsciously communicates that you have nothing to hide and that you can be trusted. Whenever you're introducing a new idea to someone and you lead with the words, "This might not be for you, but," it intrigues their interest and makes it feel like it probably is for them. If you need to remember to do something tomorrow, put something in your room out of place. If you don't want to get out of bed, throw your pillow across the room. The next day, you will see this item out of place and it will jog your memory of what you need to accomplish. If you're procrastinating, just stop telling yourself how much work you have to do. This will overwhelm you. Instead, tell yourself you only have to work for 5-10 minutes, and then you're likely going to continue working past those minutes. People who are lying will normally blink more than normal, hide the palms of their hands, glance up to the right, mess with their hair, or use abnormally long sentences. If you're trying to get over a breakup, do not use fictional scenarios. Imagining your person with someone new is only going to make you more angry and sad about something that's not even real. If you want to create a deeper connection with someone you're interested in, ask them these 2 questions. What do you think we have in common? And what do you like most about me? If you are suffering from racing thoughts, use the 3-3-3 rule. Name 3 things you see, 3 things you hear, and 3 parts of your body. This will help center your mind and bring you back to the present. When someone apologizes for something that you don't feel like was that big of a deal to apologize for, they're probably telling you subconsciously what actually bothers them if it was done to them. If they apologize for interrupting you, they probably really just don't like being interrupted themselves. Follow for more psychology hacks.
Only 10% of people are left-handed. However, they actually tend to live shorter lives. And only 1% of people in the world are ambidextrous. It means you have no preference of which hand you write and draw with. And only 1.5% of people have a single palm crease. This is mostly found in males and is a hereditary trait. And less than 1% of people have an extra rib. Most of us have 24 ribs, but some people are actually born with 25. And it's called a cervical rib. Now, 3% of people have these little X's on their palms. It's extremely rare, but it's a sign that you have strong character.
Here's what some of the most famous monsters actually
I have
are.
X on my palm?
Chupacabra, the goat-griefing livestock leech believed to be first seen in Puerto Rico, was more than likely a dog with a severe case of mange, and that's when mites burrow into the skin and basically cause parasitic alopecia. Bigfoot, different animals, same beast, or whatever it was, Kobe said. Anyway, it was probably a mangy bear. Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C. What the hell mange does? Coke Bear done graduated to meth? I don't mean numbers. The Loch Ness Monster. There have been many theories, but what's most likely was probably just an escaped circus elephant with trunks out like Dragon Ball. For centuries, there have been stories of killer Cyclops, a one-eyed op to humanity. Whole time, someone probably just found an expired elephant skull in an Olympic long jump to a conclusion. And last, almost every sea monster story you've ever heard was probably just some whale freeing his willy. That's exactly what you think it is, the more you know.
It is, what the hell?
What if theories. What if everything behind you disappears, but when you look back, it reappears? What if our shadows were warning us about something in the dark because they disappear in it? What if you're the only person left on Earth and everyone and everything around us are just imaginary people and things we've made up so that we don't feel lonely? What if every time you think you hear your name being called, it's actually just your family trying to wake you up from a coma? What if the meteor that killed the dinosaurs was actually a UFO and we're the aliens?
Tell me secrets, man. Down below, what are the most freaking weirdest what if questions she asked? I think when she said about the aliens and how if we hear our real name being called by family, we're really trying to wake up from a coma. I couldn't even imagine that.
Wholesome facts that'll make your day slightly better. Part 2. If you've already made it to the airport without dying, you shouldn't be nervous about flying because you've already made it through the deadliest part of plane travel. Whenever you pet an animal, it actually lowers your cortisol levels, which is the stress hormone. Side note, this may not work on electric eels, porcupines, or anything that could decimate you in 2 seconds.
You think?
Because guinea pigs get lonely, it's actually illegal in Switzerland to own just one. You have to get at least 2 if you want to have any at all. Sometimes tarantulas will keep tiny frogs as pets. The frogs will eat small insects that would typically eat the tarantula eggs, and in exchange, the frog gets a pretty damn good bodyguard. Capybara Land is a place in Japan where you can quite literally hang out with capybaras and see them chilling in hot springs. If 99% of the world's population finds you unattractive, that would mean that 78 million people still find you attractive.
You got a chance. You got a shot out there with somebody, bro. That's insane, man. Even if half the population thinks you're ugly.
It's one of the craziest urban legends I've ever heard. And it ended up being true. So almost 100 years ago, there was an aquarium in Australia that had a giant tiger shark on display. And the legend goes that one day, in front of like groups of families, the shark threw up a human arm. And not only is that true, but it opened a murder investigation. Also, this week's episode is all about Australian true urban legends, so make sure you listen. So after the shark threw up the human arm, the police had to figure out whose it was and why it was in the shark's belly. Well, the first thing the police noticed was the arm was cut cleanly, not jagged like it was from a shark bite, meaning that the arm was intentionally cut. So now it's clear that this was a murder, but whose arm is it? Well, one thing they noticed is that the arm has two boxers in a fighting stance tattooed on it. So they end up writing about that in the paper, and one guy who was reading it goes, "Hey, that sounds like my brother's tattoo." His brother was a man named Jim Smith, and he was involved in the seedy underbelly of Sydney society. Jimmy ran insurance fraud scams in Sydney, and he was just involved with a lot of bad people. And the last person he was seen with was one of Sydney's most notorious criminals. The story has a lot of twists, including how was he involved with the last guy he was seen with. And there's a lot of fun Australian urban legends, like the story of the Button Man, so make sure you check out this week's episode.
Fun fact of the day that my small brain cannot physically comprehend. This one really did make me say, what the fuck? I want you to do me a favor and pour yourself a glass of water. Do it! Now, there is an immensely high chance that that water you're about to drink is older than the solar system. This is because it existed in ice specks floating in cosmic clouds before any of this shit came to be. Oh, and one more thing. Scientists estimate that every glass of water you drink has 100% passed through a dinosaur. So put immensely bluntly, the most vital thing humans need to survive is Jurassic wee-wee. My brain! Let's make a deal. If you didn't know these facts or they shocked you in any way, you have to share it. Now remind someone to stay hydrated today. And then immediately send them this video. We're so evil. Elon!
Jurassic wee-wee, bro. What the hell? I didn't even know that, but if you think about it, yeah, like the water we drinking, I guess he said they've been passed through dinosaurs, man. We drink Jurassic wee-wee, man. The more you know. Tap in with us. You gonna learn some things.
What's the most dangerous place on Earth? Number 8 is Lake Natron in Tanzania. The lake's so alkaline, animals get mummified. 7, Morgan Island, off the coast of South Carolina. 4,000 monkeys all infected with the herpes B virus. 6 is Mexico's giant crystal cave. 1,000 feet underground. Cave is 113 degrees Fahrenheit and 100% humidity. 5, Oymyakon, Russia. The coldest town on Earth, reaching minus 50 degrees. Number 4, Runnet Island. In the 70s, U.S. government buried radioactive plutonium. Number 3, the K2 Summit. It's the inhospitable mountain summit in the world. Number 2 is Snake Island, an island full of thousands of poisonous snakes. It's illegal to go here. Number 1 is North Sentinel Island, home to the indigenous people who have violently rejected contact with the outside world. So much so, if you even get close, they'll swim out to you and try to kill you.
Now this is insane. Today I learned that in a remote village in Turkey, there is a family that walks on all fours. Now these individuals have baffled scientists since they were first discovered in 2005, and initially experts couldn't explain why they were the only known humans to walk on all fours. The only theory that they had was that humans were beginning to devolve. Yes, I am not kidding. I literally just posted a YouTube video reacting to some of these insane theories. The documentary on the family got roasted so hard that they had to turn off the comments. It's pretty good, check it out. Now the real reason that they walk on all fours, and to sum it up very simply, their parents are first cousins and have 18 children. And unfortunately, because of this, they were born with an extremely rare disorder that makes them lose their sense of balance. They had no balance as babies, and instead of learning to stand upright and walk like the rest of us, they remained crawling for life.
Damn, crawling for life? I couldn't do that.
Unfortunately, on Saturday, April 20th of this year in Newport, Michigan, a child's birthday that's supposed to be filled with joy was then filled with sadness and grief. 66-year-old Marcella Chidester drove her car into Swan Boat Club where a birthday party was being hosted
There, she unalived 2 children and injured 13 other individuals. Later in court, she testified stating that she had a seizure while she was driving and that caused her to have the accident. But police testified stating that she was tested for alcohol and she was highly intoxicated at the time of the crash. Her lawyer then claimed she did have 1 glass of wine before getting behind the wheel, but police said based on her BAC, blood alcohol concentration, it's impossible she only had 1 drink. As of April 23rd, she's being held on a $1.5 million bond and is being charged with murder. Being that this case is so recent, her exact jail sentence has not yet been determined. The 2 victims are 8-year-old Lana Phillips and her younger brother, 4-year-old Zane Phillips. I put a link to a GoFundMe in the comments section for this family, and in the meantime, how long do you think Marcella should receive in jail?
Does anyone remember
How long,
they were building a
Seekers?
freeway outside of St. Louis and they found over 200 bodies in one spot? And before I even get into it, you know that's what tonight's episode is going to be about.
Whoa.
So outside of St. Louis, there's this one area that has all of these strange mounds. There's no hills anywhere else, so people always wondered if they were man-made. But in the 1960s, when they were building a freeway there, they had to cut through these mounds for construction. So they thought they would just cut into them and there would be dirt inside. But that was not the case. One of the mounds had 272 bodies buried inside of it.
Damn.
And they were like, what is going on? Is this from a serial killer? Well, 2 things. First, the bodies were in really bad shape. The skeletons were largely women, and they were all lined up in these rows. And the ones that weren't women, a couple of them had been beheaded. And the second thing is that these bodies were 1,000 years old. It turns out that these mounds were from an ancient civilization that practiced human sacrifice. And this was kind of a big discovery because historians didn't think that indigenous Americans practiced ritual sacrifice until that discovery. But why were they sacrificing people and how were they doing it? Well, if you want to know more about what was happening in the area and you maybe want to know more about human sacrifice in general, you're definitely going to want to check out tonight's episode.
That's actually insane, Seekers, man. It wasn't just one man. There's like they said it was like 2 or 3 of them, so they was all filled up to the brim. Man, more you know, bro. Like times back then, people went to some dark things, man.
These are the biggest things in the world. Up first, we have the world's biggest functioning iPhone. It's made by the YouTuber Matthew B. It's over 6 feet tall and yes, actually works. And this is the world's largest pizza, which is enough to feed an entire village. It was made by 5 friends in Italy in December 2012. It measures 13,580 square feet. And this is the largest truck in the world. It's the Bellezzi dump truck. And this truck is over 65 feet long, 33 feet wide, and 26 feet tall.
These are interesting facts to tell your friends. Part 1. Up first, did you know 2 days in your life will not last 24 hours? And those days are the day you were born and the day you will die. This is absolutely insane, and just wrap your head around that for a second. Next, it is almost impossible to speak the biggest word in the English language. And it's on the screen now, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce it.
Me either.
Next up, you only know you fell asleep when you wake up. So next time you're laying in bed trying to sleep, just know you won't know you fell asleep until you've woken up. Next up, you can feel that your toes are touching, but your brain just ignores it. Do me a favor and try and feel your toes touching. I bet you can. Next, 90% of people after a discussion are left thinking of arguments of stuff they could have talked about. And I know I'm 100% guilty of this. Next, our brain generates about 50,000 thoughts a day. I guarantee you can't even write down 50,000 thoughts. Finally, the last person you think about before you fall asleep is the source of all of your pain or all of your joy. So just remember that.
Really? I never even thought about it like that. What do you guys think about before you guys fall asleep? Is it joy or pain?
Fun facts that you might find pretty damn interesting. Number 1, banging your head against a wall for an hour burns 150 calories. Number 2, approximately 40,000 Americans are injured by toilets each year. Number 3, there's a higher chance of you being elected president of the United States than winning the lottery. Number 4, an average of 100 people choke to death on ballpoint pens each year. Number 5, it is harder to be an employee at Walmart than a student at Harvard because Walmart has a lower acceptance rate. Number 6, human birth control pills work on gorillas. Number 7, there are 2 million millionaires in the United States. I am not one of them. And number 8, like fingerprints, every tongue print is different from person to person.
That's actually a freaking mind-blowing fact with the one she said about president, man. That the president, that really goes to show you, man, how sometimes, man, I think the lottery, man, is just freaking corrupted, or there's a theory behind it where, like, they be choosing people to win. Because that makes no sense how you have a higher chance of becoming a president than actually winning the lottery. If you said that to a person, they probably look at you like you was crazy. But I guarantee you that's
This is why you
true.
should never go swimming in a lake again. If you ever go swimming in a lake, you can get a very severe brain infection called an agleria, and it's caused by amoebas that are found in lakes and rivers. The amoeba will then start slowly eating your brain, which you would most likely die from. This is extremely rare to get, but every time you go into a lake, you actually risk getting it. So, I for one am never going in a lake again, and I think you guys should do the same.
Thanks for that helpful information. We will not be doing it.
We are
No.
the most dangerous thing in Massachusetts. Yep, I'm talking about us, the Pukwoodji. We're those legendary forest spirits you've probably heard whispers about. We've been hanging around Massachusetts' woods since the Wampanoag tribes first called this place home. Sure, we can be a bit of a nuisance to humans, and once upon a time, we kinda got along. But then things took a turn for the worse, and humans started coming after us hard. Ever since, we've had it out for humans, not holding back, and taking them out whenever we see a chance. We're all about messing with our targets, and what we do next, well, that depends on who you run into us at. If you're a hiker who's lost, we might help you find your way, though not back to the trailhead, if you catch my drift. Out hunting, watch out for our poison arrows, and if you're a young woman, well, we've got plans that don't bear going into. Long story short, if you're wandering through Massachusetts, keep your eyes peeled and know your surroundings. Comment your name if you want to be protected, and if you have an encounter with us, get away as soon as possible because
you will never go
Okay.
again if you watch this documentary. It is about hunters and people who specialize in being in the wilderness who just vanish without a trace. And I'm not talking like they wander into the woods and just go missing. In one of these cases, a guy went into the woods with a group of his friends and they went hunting. He was only about a couple of feet away from them when suddenly they turned around and he was gone. In many of these cases, massive search parties are released to try to find these people and they are never found. A couple of theories are discussed in this doc, like paranormal theories, Sasquatch theories, ideas that maybe they like fell into crevasses. If trained professionals are going missing in the wilderness, you bet your ass I'm not going anywhere near the woods. Let me know in the comments if you've ever experienced anything weird in the wilderness, and hit follow for more docs to watch.
She nailed it, man. Those are trained professionals going in the woods and they just disappear and dropping off the face of the earth, and I ain't going nowhere near there, bro.
A woman who was missing for 30 years was just found alive in Puerto Rico. So Patricia Copta vanished without a trace from her home in Pennsylvania in 1992. The situation surrounding her disappearance was a little strange and scary because Patricia's mental health had been getting worse and worse over the years. So when she disappeared, the police told her younger sister and husband that they thought she left on her own accord and basically closed the case. They thought that she would maybe come back, but then 30 years went by with no phone calls and no contact. Everyone in her life had assumed she passed away. But recently, an 83-year-old woman in an elderly home in Puerto Rico started opening up to a nurse for the first time. The woman had been diagnosed with dementia and started bringing up things in her life that she had never spoken about before. This alarmed one of the nurses at the facility, who contacted authorities to get a DNA test because she started believing that this woman was a missing woman from the United States. And sure enough, it was Patricia. She had never told anyone about her previous life and had never contacted her family. Her husband and sister were contacted because they're still alive and they were shocked.
Could you guys imagine that, man, just finding a lost relative like that?
12-year-old girl unalived her entire family so she could be with her 23-year-old boyfriend. Jasmine Richardson was a normal kid until she turned 11 years old. She started dressing in a darker aesthetic, liking some darker things. She would post on websites like MySpace and VampireFreaks.com telling people she was 15 instead of 11. Because the thing about Jasmine is even though she was 11, she didn't look 11. She always kind of looked older than she actually was. She started sneaking out to hang out with her new older friends and would meet older guys. By the time that Jasmine was 12 years old, she was in a full-on relationship with this freak, 23-year-old Jeremy. And just so you know, just because she was lying about her age on social media, this guy was fully aware that his girlfriend was 12 years old, a literal preteen, and he would also tell people that he was a 300-year-old werewolf. So for context, we are dealing with a full-on freak. Jasmine's parents were horrified when they found out that their 12-year-old daughter was online telling people that she was older than she actually was, and that she was dating a full-on adult. So they did their best to keep Jeremy away. Jasmine and Jeremy didn't want to be apart, and they thought that the only way that they could be together is if Jasmine's parents were no longer alive. What started out as jokes became real plans to not only unalive Jasmine's parents, but her 8-year-old brother as well. On April 22nd, 2006, Jasmine secretly led Jeremy into her home where he brutally unalived her parents. Jasmine's 8-year-old brother, Jacob, heard the entire thing while hiding in his room holding his lightsaber for protection. It's like heart-shattering. It's unclear who actually unalived 8-year-old Jacob because Jasmine and Jeremy blame each other for his death. Jasmine and Jeremy thought that they were soulmates, and now with her parents out of the picture, they were going to be together forever. But in reality, that was not the case. They were actually quickly brought to justice because they were bragging to anyone that would listen about what they had just done to her entire family. And of course, as soon as they were arrested, the soulmates turned on each other. Jeremy was sentenced to 3 life sentences, but due to Jasmine's age, she only served 6 years in a rehabilitation center and 4 years on probation. She was fully released into society in 2017 and has been out living in society, free as a bird, ever since under a new name. Actually, a lot of controversy in this case because of that, but what do you think? Do you think Jasmine is a victim, a child manipulated by a predator, or do you think if she's old enough to do the crime, she's old enough to do the time?
Terrifying facts you never knew.
You know what to
If your
do.
immune system ever found out that you have eyeballs, you would go blind. Which means right now your immune system has no clue that you can see. Because if it did, they would attack your eyeballs until you can no longer ever see. This is because your eyeballs have a protein in them called crystalline that doesn't exist anywhere else in your body. So if your immune system found out and checked them out, it would be like, something's wrong here. Studies show that most serial killers are born in November. Today's high school students have the same anxiety levels as insane asylum patients had in the 1950s. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, my anxiety might be up there too. There's a disease called fatal familial insomnia, where people suddenly one day lose their ability to fall asleep, which leads them to slowly go insane. They can't distinguish dreams from reality anymore and go into some type of paranoia. It becomes so severe that they eventually die. Those that make it to the final stage and don't die usually end up in a vegetative state, no longer conscious. And it can happen to any one of you. About 3,000 people go missing every year in the United States. The last execution by guillotine was in 1977. This was in France. And also that was the same year the first Star Wars movie came out. You are always 6 minutes away from death, but breathing resets the clock. In 2011, Anatoly Yakovich was arrested for having 12 dolls in his apartment. Only problem is, they weren't normal dolls. They were recently deceased little girls that had been dug up and dressed to be put on display. In 2012, a Burger King employee anonymously posted this to 4chan. It said, "This is the lettuce you eat at Burger King." It only took 20 minutes for people to track down the branch that he worked at, and he was fired. You really never know what people are doing to your food. H.H. Holmes was a serial killer who built a torture hotel in the 19th century. He had secret rooms with gas chambers, trap doors, and stairs that led to nowhere. He loved to play with his victims' minds. It was almost like a real-life Saw movie. Matheny was an infamous serial killer who not only cooked his victims to eat for himself, but also made them into burgers, using their remains. He then sold them to unsuspecting customers from a roadside food stand. We really never know what we eat. I'm cooking all my food myself. Because why don't we eat over people's house? In 2021, a new homeowner was shocked to find a boarded up wall. When he ripped the boards off the wall, he discovered a hole. In that hole was a doll clutching a note. The note saying that she killed a family who lived there in the 1960s. Be honest, would you move out?
I'm
In
out.
1978, there was a pilot named Frederick Valentin. Him and his plane disappeared in Australia. And his last communication was, Melbourne, That strange aircraft is hovering above me again. It is hovering, and it is not an aircraft. This is a mugshot of William West and William West. Oh, and they're not related at all, but they were both sent to Leavenworth Prison at the exact same time in 1903. And after some confusion, the staff finally figured it out. They were two different people who had the exact same name and looked identical. This was said to be one of the main reasons why we now use fingerprints to identify somebody. There's biotech being developed as we speak that can make prisoners feel they are serving an 1,000-year sentence in a matter of 8 hours. That's horrifying. Imagine thinking you spent 1,000 years somewhere, and then when you wake up and snap out of it, you realize that it was only a couple hours. Do you know how crazy that is? Anyways, like this video if you want a part 2.
Basically put you on an again jutsu, bro. That's actually insane, man, if you think about it, man. Those facts, the more you know, man. The more you know. Seekers, if you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're true seekers seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support, man. Like I said, I do daily uploads, man. So always make sure you guys check the channel at least once time every single day. You guys can expect the banger to be uploaded. Like I said, man, just sub up to the channel, hit the post notification bell, follow me on my social medias, links in the description down below. Hit the like button, man. It helps push us into the algorithm, man, so we can just take off in it one day. But we're going to continue to grow step by step every single day. Guys, I'm catching the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.